Looks like I'm live. Okay. The first comment. My number is, don't call now, but call after the live stream's done because that's the phone I'm using. But it's 503-899-3335. We're live, everybody. I just wanted to make a live video. What's up, Malone? It's not eyeballs today, it's a thumbs up. What's up? You guys really want to know what's up? Like, for real? I can make stupid mistakes sometimes when I don't have all the information. That's what's up. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to make it right with the universe is all. My sister just said happy birthday to me, Heather. Heather, my sister, said happy birthday. Thank you, Heather. You probably aren't tuned into the live stream, but I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys too. Thanks for being here. I know there's probably only looks like 12 people here right now, but every one of you counts, you know. Yeah. What should we talk about? My day started off kind of like an emotional roller coaster, but I'm feeling a lot better now. You know, and that's what can happen. Like, if we don't have all the information and we go and make decisions without knowing all the information, you know, remember those math problems from school before Common Core? You know, like, if a train is going 57 miles an hour, how long until it gets to the next station? Well, wait a second. Part of that was missing. Like, how many miles away is the next station? You know, because you can't complete the equation without all the information, right? It's something I learned today, you know, and it's messed up because sometimes you can really fuck up. And I don't want to do that. Especially, you know, when the answer is the equation. Yeah. So what's everybody doing today? Not to be all somber or anything. I want to be happy, right? I want to make everybody happy. I want to be happy. And, you know, let's try to make the most out of this life. Try to help other people. And, I don't know. I got this room for a while, for like a week. I'm going to be here in Salt Lake till next week. So, what are we going to do? What should I do? What is fun to do out here? What do you guys do when you Salt Lake? What do you call it? Salt Lakeans? What do you do when you are out here Salt Laking it? I saw that big phallic coming into town. Did you see that one? It's like a huge smokestack going way up in the sky, like concrete. It looks like it's at some kind of industrial. Hey, Freedom to Film, what's up? Yeah, you can see it from miles away though. And it was so weird looking at the actual lake coming into town from Nevada. You look out, and whoa, it looks like an optical illusion. You can't see the end of the lake. And all I could think was, I can see the mountains all the way across the lake that look like they're just floating in air. And it kind of looks really flat. Like water doesn't have curvature to it. I could see the other end, the other side of the lake, like it was really far away, but at the same time, it didn't look curved. I mean, there might have been the other side of it, the mountains might have been under the horizon or something. Horus Izon. Yeah, that's good. Uh, but it is nice being here because it's not the desert. It's like they got stuff here. I was walking down the street. I went and go checked out the federal courthouse. Yep, 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 yep. I had no control over mine either. I'm just glad it has repetitive numbers that repeat. It's easy to remember that way. But anyway, I walked over by the federal courthouse last night and took a picture of myself, like pointing at it, the sign, uh like thinking, it doesn't say United States of America, it just says United States Courthouse. So is it really the real courthouse, or is it like a facsimile corporation courthouse trying to you know trying to act legitimate when really they've been uh what's the term I'm looking for? Not corrupted, but corrupted works, but yeah, corrupt. So yeah, well, and then I ordered breakfast this morning from that Blue Plate because I was doing a live stream last night, and someone said get Blue Plate, has a good breakfast, and I got this omelet that was it was it had hollandaise sauce on it. It was what do they call those? Like the oh man, why can't I think of it? It's like an English muffin and a piece of Canadian bacon with the egg on top, and then hollandaise. There's a special name for it. It was like, oh man, I'm totally it was good. It was good, and they had like this bacon in there that was really like local. Good. What's up, Mercedes? And hey, thanks for the born day wishes. Benedict, yes, thank you. It was the Benedict omelet, and it was really excellent. Yeah, I am. Thank you, thank you. See, you guys. I love you because you guys are so helpful. That just reminded me of the thing I had to memorize in Scouts. It goes, a Scout is helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. It's crazy how I still remember that crap. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's crap, but like that was forever ago. That was like a long time ago. I had that implanted in my brain, and it's still there to this day. That gives you maybe a little bit of an idea of how powerful our cognitive abilities are. And I even feel like our the way we excel beyond cognitive abilities. I believe that we have a connection to the source of knowledge of the universe. Israel, no injection, no going to any entertainment, sporting. Yeah, I know what Israel's the one to do it too. I mean, they're like the role model for the rest of the world, right? Like, so Christopher. Um, and we all knew that was the idea since right around the time that the COVID came out. Crap, I just said a keyword like an idiot. Uh, but the time that crap came out, and then the masking. Oh crap! Was that another keyword? Anyway, then there was that, and it's just so happens that like Walmart started their curbside delivery or curbside, ordering and delivery services right around that same time or right before it, and they also were doing that intrusion checkpoint at the doors, right before all the CV stuff happened. When they were doing, when they were checking your receipt before you went out the door, like a year before all this stuff happened, uh, I think they were getting us ready for this with the masks and stuff, judging to see if we were ready yet. You know what I mean? So, hey, thanks. Let us see it now. Appreciate it. It's always beneficial to speak those manifestations into reality, right? Um, yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Um, Anybody remember what I was saying just now? Keep the faith, brother. Stuff's changing, hopefully, for our people. And happy born day. Hey, thanks, Toby. Oh, yeah, I was talking about all the stuff. And we knew that it would have to evolve into this jab thing. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what it's all been leading up to. Because they have to get their junk inside of us, Oh, who's calling? Don't they know I'm in a live stream right now? I'm gonna wait for the thing to stop going. Um, Anything else going on out there with anybody that is interested in talk about and stuff? You know what? I was doing a live stream last night, and guess who showed up in the chat? Guess. I want somebody to guess. And if you guys were here in the chat last night and you know who it was, you can guess, I guess. It's fine. But it wouldn't be a guess if you already know, right? It was none other than the legendary First Amendment Auditor Extraordinaire, James Freeman. Yeah. And you know what? I'm cool with him. We may have had our differences in the past, but today we need to put those differences aside so we can come together against a common enemy. And as it turns out, our common enemy is very well funded, and they have lots of resources, and they have lots of brainwashed like agents, So he does. He's out there, I can't be cool with being divisive anymore, So yeah, nobody needs their bridges burning. Yeah. We need to be building bridges. Destruction is so easy. It's easy to destroy things. It takes more time and effort to build them up. So, and I don't know. It's good to listen to that voice inside our head. Not the evil one, and not the one that's telling you all this different personality stuff. I don't listen to those ones. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it'll sound kind of like this. One time I was in in this really harsh environment, right? And there was it was like rain, but it was frozen, but it was like I was in a tent and it was really cold, freezing, raining, snowing, and and these sheets of ice were just cutting the tent apart, and I was like this, why? Screaming to the sky, why? And And the response came in the form of a really small, still voice telling me that we are here for the experience, you know? When you see it that way, it's not torture anymore because it's something that we wouldn't be able to experience in any other reality or in any other dimension. I believe that yeah. Oh, I was reading that comment and I forgot what I was saying again. Yeah, everyone's experiences are different. And I could get into philosophy and stuff, like what I believe we are, really. And I think that we are what happened was God was thinking, okay, I want to have every experience, right? But he couldn't do that by himself. So he had to break himself up into millions of pieces, each with their own individual ability to experience consciousness and interact with each other. And that is what we are. We all have a part of God inside of us, but we can't know what everyone else is, because then it would be like precognition would ruin your life, right? Like if you knew that when you were going to die, that would wreck your whole life, wouldn't it? Because you'd spend your whole life trying to avoid that moment, right? Or trying to change it. So we can't know. The veil has to be drawn so that we don't know why we're here, and we got to figure it out. And then we have all these experiences along the way, uh, which are actually the treasure, So try to remember that when things aren't going quite the way you want them to, and looks like the world is caving in on itself. It's going to be all right. And as a matter of fact, I think that it's going to be really wonderful. So, I really appreciate the opportunity I have to go live here. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody has. You got to have 1,000 subs to be able to go live. So, I really appreciate the opportunity. And then if you have 1,000 subs and you start going live, then you still run the risk of being shut down anyway, because YouTube is like Nazi tube now. You know what I mean? And I shouldn't bring up the Nazis because there's assorted opinions on what actually went down during that time. But the victor writes the history, right? So most of the history that we have been taught could be just a bunch of BS, And then if we're just fed all this information that we're supposed to go off of our whole lives, and it's incomplete information, and there's a lack of full disclosure, they could definitely control every living soul on the planet, by keeping them in the dark about who they are. And that's pretty sad, So, I learned some things today that I didn't know. I've been it's been kind of a theme for today. But geez, man. I wish I would have known more. I wish I would have known stuff, because I thought it was just a regular situation, and it's not. It's like I underestimated it bad. But I'm willing to accept the challenge. I think it's noble, and I would like I don't know. Most of you probably don't even know what the heck I'm talking about right now, so I'll stop doing that. Should I do a little bit more case Supreme Court research? I was doing that last night. It seemed to be good because I was really able to get across to people, I feel, what kind of fraud is occurring. So let me see what we got here. I'm just going to start going, okay? And the comments can go. You guys can, whatever, talk about what I'm talking about amongst yourselves and stuff. And I'll pay attention so I can see what's going on and stuff. But before we place a stigma of a criminal investigation upon any such citizen, the legislative mandate must be clear and unambiguous. Accordingly, that which Chief Justice Marshall has called the tenderness of the law for the rights of the individuals entitles each person, regardless of economic or social status, to an unequivocal warning from the legislature as to whether he is within the class of persons subject to vicarious liability. Congress cannot be deemed to have intended to punish anyone who is not plainly and unmistakably within the confines of the statute. It's United States versus Lacher, Lacher. We do not overlook those constitutional limitations which, for the protection of personal rights, must necessarily attend all investigations conducted under the authority of Congress. Neither branch of the legislative department, still less any merely administrative body established by Congress, possesses or can be invested with a general power of making inquiry into the private affairs of the citizen. Kilburn versus Thompson. We said in Boyd versus United States, and it cannot be too often repeated, that the principles that embody the essence of constitutional liberty and security forbid all invasions on the part of the government and its employees of the sanctity of a man's home and the privacies of his life. Emphasis added, and his car, private properties, privacies of his life. As said by Mr. Justice Field in Re Pacific R Commission, of all the rights of the citizen, few are of greater importance or more essential to his peace and happiness than the right of personal security. And that involves not merely protection of his person from assault, but exemption of his private affairs, books, and papers from the inspection and scrutiny of others. Without the enjoyment of this right, all others would lose half their value. It is scarcely necessary to say that the power given to Congress to regulate interstate commerce does not carry with it any power to destroy or impair those guarantees. This court has already spoken fully on that general subject in Councilman versus Hitchcock. Suffice it, the present case to say that as the Interstate Commerce Commission, by petition in a circuit court of the United States, seeks, upon grounds distinctly set forth, an order to compel appellees to answer particular questions and produce certain books, papers, etc. in their possession. It was open to each of them to contend before that court that he was protected by the Constitution from making answer to the questions propounded to him, or that he was not legally bound to produce the books, papers, etc., ordered to be produced, or that neither the questions propounded, that neither the questions propounded nor the books, papers, etc., called for relate to the particular matter under investigation, nor to any matter which the Commission is entitled under the Constitution or laws to investigate. These issues being determined in their favor by the court, the petition of the Commission should have been dismissed upon its merits. Interstate Commerce Commission versus Brimson. Albright versus U.S. Balzac versus People of Puerto Rico, 1922. The United States District Court is not a true United States court. Established under Article 3 of the Constitution to administer the judicial power of the United States therein conveyed, it is created by virtue of the sovereign congressional faculty, granted under Article 4(3) of that instrument, of making all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory belonging to the United States. The resemblance of its jurisdiction to that of true United States courts in offering an opportunity to non-residents of resorting to a tribunal not subject to local influence does not change its character as a mere territorial court. Alexander versus Bothworth. Party cannot be bound by contract that he has not made or authorized. Free consent is an indispensable element in making valid contracts. That was really short, but that was so important right there. Let me read it again. Party cannot be bound by contract that he has not made or authorized. Free consent is an indispensable element in making valid contracts. Which brings us to Hale versus Hinkle. Hale versus Hinkle was decided by the United States Supreme Court in 1906. The opinion of the court states that the individual may stand upon his constitutional rights as a citizen. He is entitled to carry on his private business in his own way. His power to contract is unlimited. He owes no duty to the state or to his neighbors to divulge his business or to open his doors to an investigation, so far as it may tend to incriminate him. He owes no duty to the state. Hear that? I'm going to repeat that one part. He owes no duty to the state, since he receives nothing from them. No, since he receives nothing therefrom beyond the protection of his life and property, right? So that's what they're supposed to be doing. Protecting us, not like fleecing us and shearing us like sheep. His rights are such as existed by the law of the land. In other words, common law. A long antecedent to the organization of the state, and can only be taken from him by due process of law and in accordance with the Constitution. He owes nothing to the public, so long as he does not trespass upon their rights. Hale versus Hinkle is binding on all the courts of the United States of America until another Supreme Court case says it isn't. No other Supreme Court case has ever overturned Hale versus Hinkle. None of the various issues of Hale versus Hinkle have ever been overruled. Since 1906, Hale versus Hinkle has been cited by the federal and state appellate court over 1,600 times. In nearly every instance when a case is cited, it has an impact on the precedent authority of the cited case. Compared with other previously decided Supreme Court cases, no other case has surpassed Hale versus Hinkle in the number of times it has been cited by the courts. Under federal law, which is applicable to all states, this is from Elliott versus Pearsall. Under federal law, which is applicable to all states, the U.S. Supreme Court stated that if a court is without authority, its judgments and orders are regarded as nullities. They're not voidable, but simply void, and form no bar to a recovery sought, even prior to a reversal in opposition to them. They constitute no justification, and all persons concerned in executing such judgments or sentences are considered in law as trespassers. So, does that give you new meaning to your no trespass sign? Yep. They're available at shop.freedomfromgovernment.org. And right now through Sunday, which is coming up, like just a couple days away, I'm giving out Silver Eagle ounce of silver to 1 out of 10 orders made on the site. So you could get, we got stuff for as little as $5. And you could totally get something for $5 and potentially receive back one of these worth $50. And these are all from 2020. You see it? There's Silver Eagle from 2020. And because I got the ones from 2020, because that way, after you get it, you can say that you did get something good out of 2020, So there's that. And sorry, I had to do a little plug for my website. I had to do it, right? But anyway, back to the Supreme Court. Here's another very interesting thing or decision that you may not have heard. It's from Sims versus Ahearns. And it says the practice of law is an occupation of common right. What? You mean I don't have to have a license to practice law? No, look up Sims versus Ahearns. It says the practice of law is an occupation of common right, which means I don't need to have any kind of special credentials to be able to defend myself or others in law. Yeah. So members of groups who are competent non-lawyers can assist other members of the group achieve the goals of the group in court without being charged with unauthorized practice of law. And that's the NAACP versus Button and United Mine Workers of America versus Gibbs and Johnson versus Avery. So if you get to the point where you are good enough, you can help others. If somebody ever wants to say that I'm practicing law without a license, the only alternative to that is practicing lawlessness without a license. And I don't do that. So that's not what's going on. In Maine versus Philbot, Thiboutot, 1938, the term district courts of the United States was used in the rules without an addition expressing a wider connotation. Has its historic significance. It describes the constitutional courts created under Article 3 of the Constitution. Courts of the territories are legislative courts, properly speaking, and are not district courts of the United States. We have often held that vesting a territorial court with jurisdiction similar to that vested in the district courts of the United States does not make it a district court of the United States. Not only did the promulgating order use the term district courts of the United States in its historic and proper sense, but the omission of provision for the application of rules, the territorial court, and the other courts mentioned in the Authorizing Act clearly shows the limitation that was intended. Carlisle versus United States, 1873. The rights of sovereignty extend to all persons and things not privileged. Did you hear that? Let me say that one part again real quick. The rights of sovereignty extend to all persons and things not privileged. What do they call driving? Yeah. Is that connecting yet? The rights of sovereignty extend to all persons and things not privileged that are within the territory. They extend to all strangers resident therein, not only to those who are naturalized and to those who are domiciled therein, having taken up their abode with the intention of permanent residence, but also to those whose residence is transitory. All strangers are under the protection of the sovereign while they are within his territory, and owe a temporary allegiance in return for that protection. In Lieberg versus Vitangeli, Leiberg versus Vitangeli, 1942, these constitutional provisions employ the word person, that is, anyone whom we have permitted to peaceably reside within our borders may resort to our courts for redress of an injury done him in his land, goods, person, or reputation. The real party plaintiff for whom the nominal plaintiff sues is not shown to have entered our land in an unlawful manner. We said to her, "You may enter and reside with us and be equally protected by our laws, so long as you conform thereto. You may own property, and our laws will protect your title. We, as a people, have said to those of foreign birth that these constitutional guarantees shall assure you of our good faith. They are the written surety to you of our proud boast that the United States is the haven of refuge of the oppressed of all mankind. Court will assign to common law terms their common law meaning, unless legislature directs otherwise." In the People versus Young. Common law, by constitution, is law of state. Beech Grove Investment Company versus Civil Rights Commission, 1968. Common law is but the accumulated expressions of various judicial tribunals in their efforts to ascertain what is right and just between individuals in respect to private disputes. Simmons versus Floyd Rice Ford, 1965. The common law is in force in Michigan, except so far as it is repugnant to or inconsistent with the Constitution or statutes of the state. But what about when statutes of the state are repugnant to the Constitution or, the common law? The Constitution was ordained and established by the people of the United States for themselves, for their own government, and not for the government of the individual states. Each state established a constitution for itself, and in that constitution provided such limitations and restrictions on the powers of its particular government as its judgments dictated. The people of the United States framed such a government for the United States as they supposed best adapted to their situation and best calculated to promote their interests. The powers they conferred on this government were to be exercised by itself, and the limitations on power, if expressed in general terms, are naturally, and we think necessarily, applicable to the government created by the instrument. They are limitations of power granted in the instrument itself, not of distinct governments, framed by different persons and for different purposes. If these propositions be correct, the Fifth Amendment must be understood as restraining the power of the general government, not as applicable to the states. Sovereignty itself is, of course, not subject to law, for it is the author and source of law. But in our system, while sovereign powers are delegated to the agencies of government, sovereignty itself remains with the people, and by whom and for whom all government exists and acts. And the law is the definition and limitation of power. For the very idea that one man may be compelled to hold his life or the means of living or any material right essential to the enjoyment of life at the mere will of another seems to be intolerable on any country where freedom prevails, as being the essence of slavery itself. Who knows that? Who knows the name of that one? Anybody? Anybody want bonus points? Tell me it's a weird name. And I know this one. I've known this one. It's a weird name. Yick Woe versus Hopkins. He is not to substitute even his juster will for theirs. Otherwise, it would not be the common will which prevails. And to that extent, the people would not govern. See the speech by Judge Learned Hand at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C., May 11, 1919, entitled, "Is There a Common Will?" The Congress cannot revoke the sovereign power of the people to override itself as thus declared. Perry versus United States. In the United States, sovereignty resides in the people who act through their organs established by the Constitution. See Chisholm versus Georgia and Penhallow versus Doan's Administrators, McCulloch versus Maryland, and Yick Woe versus Hopkins. as men whose intentions require no concealment, generally employ the words which most directly and aptly express the ideas they intend to convey. The enlightened patriots who framed our Constitution and the people who adopted it must be understood to have employed the words in their natural sense, and to have intended what they have said. See Gibbons versus Ogden. No legislature can bargain away the public health or the public morals. This could have an effect on what we're seeing today. You know, the public health is going to crap because of why? No legislature can bargain away the public health. That's why the governors had to do it, right? Or the public morals. The people themselves cannot even do it, much less their servants. And that's in New Orleans Gas Company versus Louisiana Light Company. The people are supreme, not the state. That's Waring versus Mayor of Savannah. Strictly speaking, in our Republican form of government, the absolute sovereignty of the nation is in the people of the nation, and the residuary sovereignty of each state, not granted to any of its public functionaries. It is in the people of the state. That's from Bouvier's Law Dictionary. The theory of the American political system is that the ultimate sovereignty is in the people, from whom all legitimate authority springs, and the people collectively, acting through the medium of constitutions, create such governmental agencies, endow them with such powers, and subject them to such limitations as in their wisdom will best promote the common good. First Trust versus Smith. What is a constitution? It's curious to me because when they, that word, the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution for the United States, what if one of them means like just the parts, like Constitution of the United States? What would that be? Like the parts of it constitute the United States? And then the Constitution for the United States, wouldn't that be like not of, but like for it to like help it govern? So I think that it should always be for the United States. But what do they say? What do they say? I haven't seen any comments here for a while. What do they say? Oh, crap. Oh, there's a lot of comments I missed out on. Sorry, guys. Does anybody? Yeah, piece of paper. No, it's, for. It says for. I mean, no, it's supposed to say for. It says of. So when they swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States, they could be swearing an oath, oh yeah, it consists of land and all this stuff. If they're not saying for, I don't think it's proper, right? Wow, you have an interesting name there, Bill. Bill Wrights. Bill F. Wrights. Thanks for tuning in. I think I'm happy to see your input here. So what is a constitution? It is the form of government delineated by the mighty hand of the people, in which certain first principles of fundamental laws are established. See Van Horn's Lessee versus Dorrance. Yeah, legalese is quite common in America these days, right? Which language? Yeah. Was that which language or which language were you referring to? Amendment. The question is not what power the federal government ought to have, but what powers in fact have been given by the people. The federal union is a government of delegated powers. It has only such as are expressly conferred upon it, and such as are reasonably to be implied from those granted. In this respect, we differ radically from nations where all legislative power, without restriction of limitation, is vested in a parliament or other legislative body subject to no restrictions except the discretion of its members. U.S. versus William M. Butler. The people themselves have it in their power effectually to resist usurpation without being driven to an appeal at arms. An act of usurpation is not obligatory, it is not law, and any man may be justified in his resistance. Let him be considered as a criminal by the general government, yet only his fellow citizens can convict him. Yeah, we all know. Thank you, Bill F. We know. We both know that it's corporate commerce. The people themselves have it in their power effectually to resist the usurpation. Sorry, I'm starting over with this paragraph. Without being driven to an appeal in arms. An act of usurpation is not obligatory. Yep, it is, Ray Nathan. You're right. It is not law, and any man may be justified in his resistance. Let him be considered as a criminal by the general government, yet only his fellow citizen can convict him. They are his jury, and if they pronounce him innocent, not all powers of Congress can hurt him, and innocent they will certainly pronounce him if the supposed law he resisted was an act of usurpation. Hey, thanks, Bill. But it cannot be assumed that the framers of the Constitution and the people who adopted it did not intend that which the plain import of the language used. When the language of the Constitution is positive and free from all ambiguity, all courts are not at liberty, by a resort to the refinements of legal learning, to restrict its obvious meaning, to avoid hardships of particular cases. We must accept the Constitution as it reads when its language is unambiguous, for it is the mandate of the sovereign powers. That's State versus Sutton. It's interesting. Can we participate in something that is that doesn't even exist? I mean, if I don't know if I could put this an easier way. Like, if I'm trying to claim a membership in something, and it's just I don't know. It seems hard for me to fathom being able to participate in something that doesn't exist. This is strange, So, in this state, they like to use that, yes, the power is in your head. In this state, as well as in all republics, it is not the legislation, however transcendent its powers, who are supreme, but the people. Yep. But the people, and to suppose that they may violate the fundamental law is, as has been most eloquently expressed, to affirm that the deputy is greater than his principal, that the servant is above his master, that the representatives of the people are superior to the people themselves, that the men acting by virtue of delegated powers may do not only what then powers do not authorize, but what they forbid. See Warning versus Mayor of Savannah. There have been powerful hydraulic pressures throughout our history that bear heavily on the court to water down constitutional guarantees and give the police the upper hand. That hydraulic pressure has probably never been greater than it is today. Yet if the individual is no longer to be sovereign, if the police can pick him up whenever they do not like the cut of his jib, they can seize and search him at their discretion. We enter a new regime. The decision to enter it should be made only after a full debate by the people of this country. That's Terry versus Ohio, 1967. Personal liberty, or the right to enjoyment of life and liberty, is one of the fundamental or natural rights, which has been protected by its inclusion as a guarantee in the various constitutions, which is not derived from or dependent on the U.S. Constitution, which may not be submitted to a vote and may not depend on the outcome of an election. It is one of the most sacred and valuable rights, as sacred as the right to private property and regarded as, what's that? Regarded as unalienable. Yeah. And that's CJS, Constitutional Law, Section 202, page 987. Sovereignty itself is, of course, oh, we already went over that one in Yick Woe, versus Hopkins. You're not going to forget that now, right? That we've gone over it like 3 or 4 or 5 times today. The Congress cannot revoke the sovereign power of the people to override their will as thus declared. Perry versus U.S. In the United States, sovereignty resides in the people who act through the organs established by the Constitution. Chisholm versus Georgia. It's like we're repeating something, huh? State versus manual. North Carolina. The sovereignty has been transferred from one man to the collective body of the people. And he who before was a subject of the king is now a citizen of the state. In the United States, the people are sovereign, and the government cannot sever its relationship to the people by taking away their citizenship. That's Afroyum versus Rusk, Afroyim v. Rusk. Amen to that, Mercedes. I can totally dig that. I can get down with that. The people of a state are entitled to all rights which formerly belonged to the king by his prerogative. That's Lansing versus Smith. In Europe, the executive is synonymous with the sovereign power of a state, where it is too commonly acquired by force or fraud, or both. In America, however, the case is widely different. Our government is founded upon compact. Sovereignty was and is in the people. And that's Glass versus the Sloop Betsy. It is a maxim, which is another word for an established principle, of the common law that when an act of parliament is made for the public good, the advancement of religion and justice, and to prevent injury and wrong, the king shall be bound by such an act, though not named, but when a statute is general, and any prerogative, right, title, or interest would be divested or taken from the king or the people, in such case he shall not be bound. That's the People versus Herkimer. Okay, so looks like we lost a couple viewers, and I'm thinking that might be enough case law for today. Anybody got anything else you want to bring up before we go? I just want to make a positive impact on the world. So, well, sovereign, I don't know if sovereign means not subject to law. And I don't know if, what I'm thinking is that I'm not really a sovereign. I mean, the government might be supposed to be seeing me as a sovereign, but I'm not a sovereign. As a matter of fact, I'm a servant, and I'm a servant to God. I'm not a sovereign. God's a sovereign, and I'm just his joyful servant. So that's that's like my government. I can't get down with any kind of man-made, man-created government and stuff. And when people say, why don't you pay attention to Romans, what is it, 13:1? They like to bring up that 13:1, which says something about all powers are, derived from God or something. They're not talking about, like, it depends on what version you're looking at, but they're not talking about, like, the president was ordained by God. They're talking about consciousness and, something else. And I would admonish you when anybody says Romans 13:1, just bring them right back to Romans 12:2. To join what? James, what's going on? Which email address did you send it to? I'm going to look right now. I see several emails here. What was it in regards? Can you tell me what it was in regards to without telling everybody everything? Or like who sent it, like the first name or initials or something, in some way that I can tell what it is. That would be helpful. Okay. Yep, I see it. That's all you had to say, and you have the same name, so that's good. Yes. Okay, we can talk about that. Is that cool? Hey, Bonehead, where you been? Made it. How's it going? Do I need to look at that? I'm going to look at that document. Oh, wow. Wowzers. Hey, no more segregation. Wow. That is cool. Yeah, Bonehead, you know what? I didn't have all the info. I was going off being a blockhead, and now I've got more info, and oh man. The 3 notices? I don't know. What are the 3 notices? I mean, that would be so great to just have magical 3 notices you could shut down the court with. I'm all ears. You know? No, just kidding. No more segregation. Yeah. This yeah. How could you tell if it's legit, right? Because that's interesting. It says, do you mind if I read it? Can I read it? I'm going to wait till I hear from you, but it's just put yes. Hey, thanks, Bill. I just want to get out here and do it. Okay, I'm going to read it. No more segregation says I can read it. Oh, crap. Something just jumped out at me at the very top of the thing. It's like this. I might still read this, but it just something just jumped out at me and said that it was. I'm not going to say it's not legit, but I'm going to say that it is. Sending address is 116 Main Street. Everything goes to the Divine Authority, so that's what name you put on it. You put Divine Authority, 116 Main Street, Gabbs, Nevada, 89409. This information comes to us today from the United States of America Department of Travel, which I'm not sure that that's a legitimate government agency. So, I mean, like, that's what I try to avoid. I try to avoid purporting to be a government agency. What's gouge? Gabbs. Gabbs. Yep. But the content of this information, even if it's not legit, I'm going to read it anyway because it's interesting. Okay. So it says Governor Pat McCrory, Raleigh, North Carolina, regarding a violation of U.S. Supreme Court rulings regarding the right to travel, subject education of law enforcement and North Carolina judiciary. Dear Governor McCrory, we are sending this correspondence to make you aware of the unconstitutional acts committed by your law enforcement agencies and state courts against the people of North Carolina. Those acts may or... Yeah, the writing's a little small. These acts may or may not have been committed knowingly or intentionally, but we are writing to your office to ensure that these violations are brought to your attention so that they can be addressed and corrected. As you may or may not know, there are people in your state whose status is ostensibly different than the average U.S. citizen and are considered foreign nationals or American nationals with certain safeguards and protections under the law. Our primary concern is that their travel rights in your state are not infringed. In order to educate your law enforcement regarding foreign nationals or American nationals in your state, you can call the Department of State here in Washington, D.C. Yeah, but you're claiming to be the Department of Travel, not the Department of State. In Washington, D.C. to get clarity, or you can go to the Department of State's website at travel.state.gov content, blah, 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 or our website at usa. Yeah, I'm not reading that one because that one is the one that purports to be a government website when it ends in a .org. That's not. I'm a web developer. I'm not cool with that. That's going to get somebody in some deep doo doo, probably sooner than later. So yeah, and did you notice that? No more seg. It said there was a link to travel.state.gov and then a link under that to their .gov.org thing, kind of a weird, tricky thing. And then underneath that, they put another travel.state.gov. Like, so they're putting their thing in between the two legitimate ones, trying to. I'm sorry. I can't. I mean, I like the letter. I'll say that. It says, we have enclosed one of our affidavit forms for the exemption of registration and licensing for foreign nationals that foreign nationals have to file in your state to lawfully claim the exemption. This affidavit can also be used by U.S. citizens who are not driving or operating a motor vehicle for profit or for hire. Please forward this information to all your law enforcement agencies in your state to prevent any unnecessary lawsuits from being filed against these agencies or following the law and violating the rights of the people to freely travel without interference unless they are a threat to the public safety. Yeah, we can't be threats to public safety if we're traveling. I mean, we have to be responsible for ourselves. If you have any questions regarding this matter, please feel free to correspond by writing me email, fax, questions, concerns you may have. We'll be happy to answer and address them. Thank you in advance. I like the letter, Yeah, thanks, No More. It's an interesting thing to look at, but here's how I look at it. There's all this state, national, state citizen, state of confusion. I belong to God, right? So first, I'll be a citizen of God's kingdom, and that means that they don't even have documentation here for that. But that we all have one of these, a fingerprint, and that establishes that we are unique, right? It's a unique marker that we all have. So I don't know, man. They've been trying to get us to claim to be a citizen forever, and I'm thinking that maybe we just should watch what we claim and just do just all be equal, I would hope to. Anyway. Okay, well, we're going over an hour today. I think I will probably be back here for a live tomorrow. I don't know what time. Try to do it before it gets dark, but maybe I'll try to do it from somewhere, on location somewhere. I think that she's my friend on Facebook. I don't know. Jennifer Hall Goodwin. I don't know if I've heard of that book though. Legal aliens aren't in contract with their government, so must be extradited, but they are natural citizens. Come out of her, my people. Yeah, see, that's something interesting. And you heard about when they were trying to give in Oregon, they were trying to give driver's license out to illegal immigrants. Why would they do that? Unless it were benefiting them somehow. So yeah, that's a great idea. They are beautiful. I was just noticing that today. They're right there. They're so big and white and right there. They tower over the city. It's pretty badass, really. You don't see that too often. It's pretty cool. But hey, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I love all of you so much, and I really appreciate. Without you, I wouldn't even be here. So, and it's good to be in a signal worthy location. You know, I'm out of the desert and in the city here, and it's they got signal. So Ben Lomond Peak. Oh, really? Wow, that's cool. All right, hey guys, thanks. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.